2018 was the year I started college. At this point in my life, I hadn't really processed that college would be, difficult and something that I really needed to lock in for. I took some AP and advanced classes in high school, so the transition from that into college level work shouldn't be anything crazy, right? I could not have been more wrong. I had a handful of different hobbies, none of which I considered myself good enough to study in college, so after switching up my major a couple times before the semester started, I ended up going with computer science. I had a couple friends doing that anyway. I felt like I was at the top of the world after graduating high school, and that feeling stayed with me over the summer before college. I had already been to an orientation event, and I got to meet a few students who were studying the same thing as me. And so my first college semester started in full swing. Most of my buddies were living on campus, and I was commuting from home, so anytime I wasn't in class or studying at the library, I would find myself in one of the student housing buildings, which had recreation or lounge areas with a TV and a couple couches, maybe a foosball table or two, and best of all, a ping pong table. Classes had started. After the first week, I was like, okay, this is pretty difficult, wow. And then week 2 was, oh man, I gotta study more, this college thing is really getting serious. And each week slowly gave me a reality check that I needed to start taking this seriously. And I tried. I did my best for a while, but it didn't take long for me to put together that computer science was honestly just not really for me. I had this fantasy idea in my head that it would be a lot more fun just coding video games and whatnot all day, but my lack of real coding experience combined with me feeling like I was rushed into college last minute really started hitting hard. I was getting really stressed out, and there was this breaking point where I was just like, haha, everything's completely fine. I'm just gonna play ping pong and forget that any of this is happening. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I have this distinct, embarrassing memory that I'll never forget, just to give you an idea of how utterly cooked I was. I was in calculus class one week, and usually the professor would call on random students to answer problems or questions from the previous night's homework or something we were doing in class. The professor calls on me, and I'm just so dazed and confused as to what we're even talking about that I just didn't respond. I don't even know why. There was just a painfully long silence where she was waiting for my response. It was probably like 20 seconds or something, but it felt like hours. I eventually said something like, I honestly have no idea, I'm sorry. I felt like I was watching this play out through my own eyes with absolutely no control of the situation. And in my head being like, yep, this is it, man. You're failing this class. Great job. You really outdid yourself on this one. I had the most intense feeling of derealization, and I felt like my semester was now out of my control. There was no coming back whatsoever. I have a college friend that can vouch for me on this one, okay? They watch my videos. They can confirm. We sat down one time to figure out how much I needed to make on my chemistry final to pass that class, and it was a 120%. It was that bad. So yeah, I kept going to class, but in my free time, instead of studying, I just started playing more and more ping pong, I suppose as this kind of coping mechanism for knowing I'm completely cooked. All that aside, with all the practicing I was doing, at least I did get significantly better at playing ping pong. I still have all this footage from 2018 of me learning how to serve, playing at higher speeds, and adding backspin and side spin to the ball to make it travel differently. I mean, you would hope so. This was my new obsession. You would hope I would get at least a little better. I, of course, changed colleges later on, and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in film production, but that first year of college was rough, man. Whenever it's brought up now, I like to joke that I dropped out of college to become a professional ping pong player because it kind of feels like it. I guess the moral of the story here is if you're gonna do something, do it right. Drop out of college and get really good at ping pong. I'm just kidding. Please don't do that. That's dumb. Graduate first and then become insane at ping pong. That's the moral of the story. I'll see you guys later.